How many of you played Lego Star Wars? Any Lego Star Wars game? Are you playing it right now? Maybe press pause, because for the next hour, you're going to be able to hear from the team that brought you Lego Star Wars themselves and talk all about this new adventure. For those of you that have played Lego Star Wars, The Force Awakens, you'll learn more about it. For those of you that haven't, you're going to see what makes it so special. I've been having just a blast with this game, and I just cannot wait to learn more about it this hour. Why don't we take a look a little bit before we get started with our panelists? Let's take a look at the coolness that is Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. Let's check out this video.
Dear child, I see your eyes. The belonging you seek is not behind you. It is ahead.
The droid, I'll pay for him.
Actually, the droids are not for sale.
Come on!
I can do this.
The droid stole a freighter.
The two were accompanied by a girl.
What girl? Chewie, we're home.
This droid has to get to the Resistance base as soon as possible.
He's carrying a map to Luke Skywalker.
Don't tell me a Rathor's got loose. I got a bad feeling about this. The girl I've heard so much about.
I'm in charge now.
It's about time you showed up.
Give it everything you got.
You're afraid that you will never be as strong as Darth Vader.
We're not done yet.
You might need this.
Ow! Hey! Goodness!
Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan, Graham, and Douglas, the team behind Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. Give them a round of applause. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
So why don't we just take a moment to just tell everybody who you are and your role in the process of Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens.
So I'm Douglas Riley. I'm the head of Lucasfilm Games. I run a team of producers, marketers, QA. A couple of them are here in the front row. And we're the liaison between all the great things we're doing at Lucasfilm and the games we make with our partners like TT.
I'm Jonathan Smith. I'm head of production at TT Games, where I've been working on the Lego games since the first Lego Star Wars.
Let him have his applause. Let him have his applause. So we do, whenever he comes into the office, we do this as well. I am Graham Goring. I'm the lead story designer, and what that means is I do the least amount of work in the office, basically. I'm an idiot with a typewriter. Hello.
Yes, give him a round of applause.
Graham is, of course, underselling himself. He wrote all the original scripts for Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens that brought so much joy to so many players.
Thank you.
Well, you mentioned that you've been on since the very first Lego Star Wars game, Jonathan. I want to, before we talk about Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, why don't we talk about where Lego Star Wars video games have been, starting all the way back to the beginning. Can you take us back to the first Lego Star Wars that you worked on?
Sure. Well, I was lucky enough to work at Lego Company. Before that, I was with other video game companies here in the UK. And Lego, as you know, licensed Star Wars back in 1999 for the Phantom Menace. They were bringing out those amazing pod racers and all those sets set on Naboo. And we, a few years later, we're thinking how to make a new kind of Lego game. There have been Lego games before that. There have been Lego Island, wonderful Lego Island, Lego Racers, but we wanted to really make a new kind of game. And we all had kids, and we wanted to show them like a love that we had for video games with their favorite play, which was Lego. And so we were working on new prototypes. We were working with lots of different teams. And my good friend and colleague, Tom Stone, who joined from Electronic Arts there and was running the team at Lego, came in one morning and said, you know what we should be doing? We should be talking to Lucas about Star Wars. We should be bringing our favorite characters and stories into this new world. And we all said, that is never going to happen. That is crazy talk. Lucas will never agree to this. They have their own fantastic heritage in making video games. We're just making up new stuff here. We've got crazy ideas. They're never going to go for this.
They're never going to go for this.
They're never going to go for this. We thought it was so absurd, like the dream you never have. It could never happen.
Did they go for it? Tell me, what happened?
Well, luckily enough, the person who was running LucasArts at that time was an English guy who Tom happened to know, and we got the meeting. Simon Jeffrey, of course. We went over there. We got the meeting, and we turned up in this magnificent conference room at the Lucas Ranch, walking past props from the original movies, walking past props from Indy. Our heads were spinning, and the team immediately were so generous. We're so excited about the possibility of doing something with Lego, and that Lego relationship gave us the space to start messing around with Star Wars in a way that we'd always done in our own imaginations. Lego gives you that permission, and we had one other huge asset without which we couldn't have done anything, which was a very early prototype, a very early test area that was done by the team at Traveller's Tales, the incredibly talented development studio we were working with here in the UK, proudly made in the United Kingdom, in the northwest of England, that showed just a couple of Jedi just running around the beginning of that episode 1, that negotiations area, looking beautiful, animated and brought to life as video game characters like you'd never played with before, had so much charm, had so much personality, and that sealed the deal.
Yeah, there's no question at the time we were very much in a serious Star Wars mode. And if you had asked people on paper, would Lego Star Wars work, you would have gotten very much a lot of skepticism. And that is one of the famous pitches. You see a lot of pitches if you work in this business, a lot of meetings, even the best games, the pitches, sometimes are good, sometimes are bad. Everyone walked out of that room with smiles on their faces. Everyone knew that we had achieved peanut butter and chocolate together. And it was obvious that this was something that we had to do.
Peanut butter and chocolate, you mean so the idea of Lego and Star Wars is the chocolate meets the peanut butter. It's such
Absolutely.
a great combination. But at the time, it was not something that was, having it be a video game was not a foregone conclusion.
Absolutely not.
It was very new.
No, and in fact, when we started working on the game, we got permission from Lucas to start working on the game. We worked closely with their team to build that first game based on episodes 1, 2, and 3. And we started showing it to video game companies, the biggest video game companies in the world. We were touring around saying, hey, we've got this great idea. Take a look at this. People just didn't get it. Even then, there was no talking. It was weird. It didn't look like the films. It had these bricks in and these characters. It was kind of silly. And people think that video gamers as a group, we're gamers, we're all gamers. But people think that video gamers like a certain type of game, and this was different. And it took a lot of knocking on doors before we found people who would support us in bringing that out.
And now you look back on it, and it's a huge bestseller. It's something that has been around now for over 10 years. We have this slide here. You've got the original Lego Star Wars 2, then the complete saga, Lego Star Wars 3. I mean, I remember I was at LucasArts at the time when the first one was coming around, and I remember being this groundswell of support for this title, especially coming out of QA, the Quality Assurance group, when there were hundreds of people sitting there looking at games, and they're all like, what is that? We want to work on that. We really want to work on. No, we really want to work on that. And almost like this message to all the upper management at the time, like, hey, let's get our hands on this thing. So then we were lucky enough to work on the second one. But how successful has this been over the years?
It's been satisfactorily successful so far. It's something to build on, definitely. No, we've been absolutely thrilled. Right from the start, as soon as people started playing the game, there was such positive buzz, such word of mouth. We had people in our office come to play the game. We were playing it with our own families. And we knew it was something special. And as that started to come out in the coverage, and then in the sales, we started to believe that we were onto something. Now, the team at LucasArts, right at the very high level, they had got this from the start. And I remember we were very tentative in some of the things we were trying to do. So we were saying, we're going to have this thing. Those of you who play the game know we've got this thing called free play. So you can switch between different characters. You can play as the bad guys. You can play together with a friend. There are two of you. And that means, I remember going into one of those early meetings with Howard Rothman, who was running the whole group, saying, that means you're going to have General Grievous with General Grievous fighting against General Grievous. And this was before Episode 3 had come out. Is that okay? And he was like, yeah, it looks great. We just showed it. And he said, looks great. He made him laugh. So we knew we were onto something. And since then, the success that we've built with Complete Saga, then going on to plow that further with Clone Wars with Episode 3, has been the foundation of our business that we are incredibly proud and privileged to continue with.
Yeah, the magic of Lego gives us a lot of license to have fun. The fact that they're bricks and it's an imaginary environment, and it sort of replicates the play with the great humor these guys bring to it. And we found over the years, it's in many ways the entry point for many families into the Star Wars franchise, where they start their kids with the games first rather than with the films. And that's a way to bring them in, have some fun with it, and then ground themselves in it and see the films later.
And you have parents and kids playing together, to your point. And they play all their different favorite characters. You can go and unlock them. Yeah, really, really fantastic stuff. And that brings us really to...
Well, before we move on, you mentioned,
please.
when we were talking earlier, before this, you mentioned, and I didn't remember this, that when you were at LucasArts back then, you actually played a crucial role in these games, didn't you? And anyone who's played these games will know the role that you play.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, when we were on Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, well, let me back up a little bit. So, Lego Star Wars, the video game, I had some friends at Skywalker Sound that were working on the sound with Traveler's Tales at the time, right? And I remember saying to one of my friends, Nick, I said, well, what are you doing about the dialogue? I mean, because I'd seen the art, I'd seen the trailer. Do they speak? Do they make, do you use like the sounds of children? I mean, what do you do? And he said, well, there is no dialogue. And when the thing came out, there was, I think, one scene with Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan scratching his chin, and he just went, like that. And that was just one of the sound designers doing that sound. Well, by the time the second one came around, and now I was in a department that needed to deliver back sound effects tracks and music and everything mixed of all the cinematics for the second one, and we delivered it back to your team at TT Games. Their mouths were doing this, and they were going, just doing all kinds of stuff. And you had recreated the scene of stormtroopers yelling at Obi-Wan and Luke on the land speeders that come into Mos Eisley. And we were just like, what are we going to do? And so me and a few other friends go into the studio, and we said, well, let's just make it kind of like a gibberish, And so I remember and my voice is all over the game of Lego Star Wars 2 and 3, and it just makes me going, and then Obi-Wan goes, like that, and then the stormtrooper goes, and falls over, and those death yells and screams, it just lived on in that series all the way into Lego Star Wars 3, where we brought in the Clone Wars actors to do the same thing. And that was just a wonderful evolution of the style of Lego, which kind of brings us to The Force Awakens, which is another huge evolution forward, in storytelling with Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It seems like it's been getting more and more and more story-driven. The characters become more and more vocal with each turn.
Yeah, we've just been spending more and more time trying to get your voice out of the Lego Star Wars franchise.
That's exactly, yeah, exactly. Good on you. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Let's talk about this. So it's a really incredible game. From a storytelling perspective, you're in development at the same time as the movie is in development. What was that like? Tell us about the stories that you were trying to tell while the movie was in development as well.
Well, obviously, it's very challenging because this is the biggest, most secretive franchise in the world. So you have access to certain materials, but sometimes there was a little bit of guesswork. We were poring over the trailers as they came out because sometimes that was the source of the most up-to-date footage in order to make sure that all our artwork that our amazing artists did looked exactly right. And it was the most exciting and terrifying thing because it's Star Wars, right? I don't know if you've heard of Star Wars. It's quite popular. and it's the biggest privilege. So it was incredibly exciting, and it was sometimes it's by the seat of our pants a bit.
Yeah, I have to give these guys a lot of credit. As you mentioned, it was very secretive, so there were some things we could share, some things we couldn't share, and a lot of things we didn't have to share for long stretches of the production. So there were many meetings where we would be describing what scenes would look like and telling them how to try and build sets and environments, and magically they managed to get as close as one can get without seeing reference or scripts or a film. And then it just continued to roll from there all the way through the process. Once the film came out, we refined it and tuned it. And these guys obviously make great magic with Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, no, it was really lovely that we were coming out sort of 6 months later, because it did mean that, come opening night, we were all down there with notepads, watching it time after time after time to get, all the details we can. And what's also lovely is that, we've got these new adventures in there as well. It's, I think it's an incredibly exciting sort of proposition for anyone who loves Star Wars. Really, this game, it's amazing how it turned out.
The details are always so important, and it's everyone who works on a Lego game is always a fan, both of Lego, both of video games, and then always the stories that we're working with. And that attention to detail, those hours, those days that people spend
I spent
on
most of my time
authenticity is so important.
On Wikipedia, I spent most of this project just because you want to fact check things because you don't want to get it wrong, and everyone is because I might be writing the dialogue, but quite often it's the designers who come up with the mission that I'm writing, so they'll be the ones that, as a result of them, we had Harrison Ford saying Wookiee cookies and daft stuff like that. It's everyone is a massive fan of this because, as you say, if it wasn't for Star Wars, I don't know we'd still be around in the form that we are. It's thanks to this wonderful galaxy that I get to write silly jokes for stormtroopers to say and things like that.
Yeah, and these guys, one of the things we did on this title, which we had not done on other titles, was we gave them the opportunity to tell stories that were not from the film. So we pulled from Marvel Comics, we pulled from books, we pulled from shorts, and we gave them the opportunity to tell those stories in greater detail, infuse them with Lego humor. So we give you the red arm of C-3PO, we give you how Han gets the Rathtars, all these stories that inform what happens in TFA, but gives you a chance to look into the universe from a different perspective through the eyes of Lego humor.
And so how many of you saw the Lucasfilm and the Art of Storytelling panel that we had in here previously? Okay, so yeah, several of you did. You brought up how, working with Story Group to tell these stories. What was it like in the brainstorming process to tell some of these new adventures?
Well, it's really great. Like I said, we sat down. We have Leland Chi here, who's there, friend, and Pablo
Leland
and other
Chi,
folks.
Pablo Dalgo,
and we came to them. We said, what kind of material are you guys telling in other media that we can tap into? And we would just sit and go through comics and other stories and just find the things that we thought would resonate in a Lego environment. It was a lot of fun.
I think it's particularly lovely because also, if you've seen the film, you have got those questions. It's like, well, I want to hear about how Han lost the rest of his crew, and I want to know where Lor San Tekka was before the start of the movie. So it's exactly what people would want to really know about, and so it's an incredible honor to be able to get to expand upon those.
I think we have a clip.
Hey, do we?
I think you guys want to see some of these.
New adventure levels,
New
right?
adventures.
New adventures. Do you guys want to see a clip of some of the new adventures, the expanded story of Star Wars: The Force Awakens? Let's take a look.
Relive the galaxy's greatest journey.
This thing really moves!
And go beyond the film to experience exclusive all-new stories.
Don't worry, boss. I got us the best Rathtar hunters in the system.
Hunt ravenous Rathars with Han and Chewie.
You ready for that, Chewie?
Now, back to Takadana at full speed so we can claim us our bounty.
Como ste, Vanchula?
Foil the First Order's plans with a Crimson Corsair.
Come on, let's borrow us a ship.
Good luck finding your pilot.
Discover the secrets of Jakku with Lor San Tekka.
My transports are yours.
It's Poe Dameron. I'm here to rescue you.
Rescue Admiral Akbar with Poe Dameron.
Our transport will be up ahead, Admiral. We're just gonna have to fight our way out of here.
Is it better not be a trap? Discover hidden secrets.
We need locate the location of the Resistance base.
Unravel galactic mysteries. And play must-have stories for any Star Wars fan that you can't play anywhere else. Featuring all new dialogue from the Force Awakens cast.
It's about time you showed up.
Repairs completed, sir. Just need to load fuel and ammo.
And Wookiee cookies for Chewie.
Oh, that was great. Just fantastic stuff. I mean, first of all, not only the incredible stories you get to tell, I want to get back to that in a second, but you have, and for the first time, I think, in any, not just Star Wars video game, but in any video game ever, you have Harrison Ford in Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. What a monumental achievement. What was it like to have these voice actors from the movie in on Lego Star Wars?
Well, as you can imagine, it's, you know, if I went back in time and told myself as a child I'd get to write lines for these characters, for Han Solo, and have the genuine actors say them, I would be like, no, you're lying, show me the time machine. Because it was insane. And they're the loveliest people as well. Because I'd get to go along to some of the meetings, because obviously, you know, they're filming the new movie in London, so a bunch of the actors were available to come to Warner Delane Lee, and I definitely didn't get merchandise signed. That would be irresponsible. It was incredible, and they're all so lovely, and they all absolutely, you know, gave their A game. It was, it's insane. I cannot believe it.
It's absolutely another example of something where we, in the office, we said, can we imagine getting the original actors? Can we even imagine that? Because that wasn't what we expected at the start. And once you start to imagine it, you know, with that great power that we have from Lego, where everyone is immediately leaning in, they're well disposed to, they have such a strong affinity to Lego, they want to help. And then, you know, backed up by the incredible resources of Lucasfilm, the Lucas organization, and you know, some convenience of the fact that many of them happens to be in the UK, we were able to pull it off, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and it's a level of authenticity you've never seen in a Star Wars game before. And when I first saw the first trailer, I thought, well, this is great. They got all the dialogue and all the sounds and everything from the movie, and then they started talking in the game, saying lines that were not from the movie at all. And then they kept talking, and they kept going, and I just thought, I am playing along with Harrison Ford. I'm playing along with Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac. It's an incredible experience. Now, what was it like writing in-game dialogue for them?
It's the coolest thing ever. I imagine I'm quite envied because I got to write for Han Solo and have Harrison Ford say it, and have, you know, John Boyega say his lines, and have Daisy Ridley say her lines. It's the best job in the world, as you can imagine. And you know, I'm incredibly thankful that I get to do it, and it's due to this guy really that I get to do it. Because I only got a writing gig at our place because you saw me doing stand-up comedy and thought, let's give him a try, basically on a project.
That is completely true, isn't it? Yeah, you were doing stand-up in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And I came up afterwards and said, and you said, I happen to work at TT Fusion in your company.
Yeah.
And we were thinking at the time about working on a new game with full Lego voices called Lego City Undercover.
First one, yeah.
Which Graham wrote. Yeah, thank you, quite right. All the story there and the work of that was the work of Graham, and that's where you showed what you could do.
Yeah, and it's just been, you know, bigger and better ever since. Culminating, I feel like, you know, where do you go from here? Because
have we killed your stand-up career though?
Oh yeah, no, stone dead. Oh. But to be honest with you, any audience that saw me would probably be quite thankful for that, if I'm honest. Wasn't the greatest, but this I can write, you know, daft jokes for all day long. So this has been, you know, it's amazing getting to you know, create characters that are part of this. It's insane. Flabbergasted every day.
Are there any characters you particularly like writing for, or particularly don't like writing for?
I love writing idiots. My favorite thing to do is write idiots because I'm an idiot. So I love writing some of the stormtroopers. We had them doing really stupid things, so that was a joy. But you know, I keep coming back to it. But the coolest character is Han Solo. Get to write for him is just insane. And totally never thought it would happen. Right up until like a week before the record, it's like, we're not going to get him. We're not going to get him. We got him. Oh God, I've got to Skype into a session with him now.
About how many hours did it take to record each character?
It varied very much. I mean, I think Harrison was around for about 2 hours, and he was blasting through his stuff, absolutely knocking it out of the park. It was like incredible. Sometimes, we'd spend up to 4 hours. I think Anthony Daniels spent quite a long time with him because I would actually meet him before the sessions and do rewrites on his character because nobody knows C-3PO like Anthony Daniels, really. So it was really cool. We'd meet up before, go through it, and really make it even more C-3PO-y, which generally meant making the language a bit flowery. It's not rain, it's precipitation, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours down in London on this. It was incredible.
So Douglas, I wanted to ask you about the evolution of style. Actually, it's for all of you, but we talked earlier about this sort of gibberish that was in the early LEGO games. Can you talk about how this decision was made in terms of the stylistic change and what kind of the implications there were on the video game and its design?
Yeah, well, it came out of, as you know, we don't just tie Star Wars into our LEGO games. So since LEGO Star Wars 2 Complete Saga, we've worked with other brands and stories and characters as well. So from each game, we're always trying to do something completely new for LEGO games. And that meant new game features, new game modes, new ways of exploring these worlds, new ways of bringing these worlds to life over the years. Developing how we tell stories in those games has been a major arc over the last 10 years. Moving from the silence, the mumbles, the non-verbal vocalizations, as we called them at the time, to something that was more recognizably like language. And then the first fully voiced game that we had, which was actually LEGO Batman 2. LEGO City Undercover, that Graham wrote, was our first completely original story set outside of any IP. And so when we came back to LEGO Star Wars, we really wanted to not only apply everything we'd learnt since those early games to the new game to make it the best Star Wars LEGO game ever, but also to move that on even further. So getting the original actors then from the movie was how we were able to respond to that challenge.
Yeah, I think it's for people who play the games all the time, I think you might not notice the evolution over one iteration from the next one. We were coming back to it after having not done LEGO Star Wars games since Clone Wars, and it was really, I think, it made the game come alive to hear the real voices from the actors, from the films, and still find a way to bring all of that charm out that you guys have been doing along the way. It was really remarkable.
I think it totally allows us to tell little extra stories as well, because I don't know that we could have done the new adventures if we weren't having the dialogue as well, and all the little side quests and things like that.
It would have been quite mysterious, wouldn't it? We wouldn't fully have answered some of those questions.
There would have been a lot of gesticulating and not a lot of sense, I think.
Yeah, with the gibberish, you have to know the source material, right?
Yeah.
So it makes it very hard to tell
parody,
a new story.
Right?
Yeah,
You're doing pantomime and parody versus actually telling new stories. Now, the dialogue isn't the only thing that is new about LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens, and it's really fun playing the game, watching the evolution of the series, because now you have all of these new game mechanics in The Force Awakens. Can you talk about some of those? The shootouts, the build-outs, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you say, we have hundreds of people working day in, day out, pouring their talent, their heart into making new game features for LEGO players. We have new players coming along every year, but we also have a really hardcore group of fans that include ourselves that we love and we nurture, and we want to show them something new with every new game. So all of that culminates with LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens Episode 7 in all the nuance of the combat system and the huge variety of different things that the different characters can do. Every different character has got different moves and different abilities. That's all gone into that game. But then there were some big, major new steps we wanted to take just for The Force Awakens, just for that game. So that starts with a sense, coming out of the early information about what was going to be in the movie, that blaster battles, these standards, we don't have characters by and large who are force sensitive. We don't have all the Jedi fun that we had back in some of those earlier games. But instead, we've got these cool battles with blasters. How are we going to develop that into a major new gameplay feature for The Force Awakens was the challenge to the team. And they came up with this sort of really exciting, really cinematic, camera-led cover system where you're ducking down, you're popping out shots, you're targeting all the waves of troopers that are coming at you, you've got big boss characters ahead of you, and it really gives a new dynamic to the gameplay.
It was incredibly cinematic. I'm glad you said cinematic, because the first time it happened in the first level of the game, don't want to give it away, or maybe you already have, but first level in the game, you come in, and and the camera just comes right down, almost documentary style, right into the battle, following someone into cover. It's so emotionally impactful, I felt. It was a wonderful breakup to what I was doing previously. And then I was suddenly hit with another one, which was your kind of new build system. Can you talk about that as well?
Sure. So one of the things, we've always had building in LEGO games, right, since LEGO Star Wars Episode 2, which was the first game to have those build-its in. And we wanted to take that to a new level with The Force Awakens. So for the first time now, you can actually choose what you build out of the LEGO bricks that you find in the world. As part of playing with LEGO, you can build whatever you want. That freedom, we want to bring that into the game. So you might build a turret, you might build a platform. You can solve problems in different ways.
I think it's really nice because it also means we can do more sophisticated puzzles. Sometimes our games have been maybe incredibly linear, whereas now there'll be puzzles where you have to build something, then break it apart and use those same bricks to build something else. And then sometimes it's just for fun. Like you might be getting past an enemy and you can choose 2 different ways, and you only see one of those ways the first time you play it, and then when you come back in free play, you can see something else, and it means that it stays fresh, which is really nice.
Yeah, what I love about them is you guys use them to bring out more humor. Sometimes the puzzles are more humorous in nature than non-humorous in nature. Same thing with the blaster battles. They have puzzles built within them, but all of it is infused with that LEGO charm and that LEGO humor.
Yeah, and it's an incredibly funny game. You're actually a very funny man. So yes, I'm sitting here cracking up playing this game.
Very, very kind.
No. It's really. I just had a blast with this game. I'm about halfway through it. I had to just keep. I stayed up way too late. You can ask my wife. I stayed up way too late playing it before flying to Celebration because I just had to hear Harrison Ford speak. I had to see the Rathars. I had to just keep going, and I forced myself to stop. I can't wait to play it again. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up too was the vehicles. Right, there's always been vehicles in LEGO Star Wars, but you really have taken it to the next level, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, there were only a couple of ship-based levels in the very first LEGO Star Wars. We did a bit more of that in LEGO Star Wars 2, and there was that very, very memorable moment in Mos Eisley where you build over quite a long period of time and a set of puzzles. You assemble an AT-ST, which you then get to climb into and stomp around the Mos Eisley. And that was a fantastic, it was a real landmark moment for LEGO games. And since then, we've had more and more vehicles you can jump in and out of, vehicles you can have 2 players in, and then ships, spaceships that you can fly around in.
Whole sequences with ships, very, very cool.
And so for LEGO Star Wars, The Force Awakens, the new game, the team really wanted to, again, bring that up to a new level. So if you've played those space battle sections, again, like the attention to detail, the sense of immersion, just the spectacle that mirrors the incredible spectacle in the film as well, was a real treat for us.
I think we could, almost do a game that was just the space battles because I think they play so well. They're some of my favorite parts of the game.
We'll have to. Would you play a game based entirely on space battles?
Yeah.
There's a
few.
Certainly would. There's a few.
Well, so what else can we expect? What can we expect in the future of LEGO Star Wars? Now, you guys have put out The Force Awakens. It's been out a while. Some folks have played it. But you're not quite done yet, are you?
No, we have an amazing sort of season pass with our DLC, which is we've got some really cool sort of stories that we're telling that take part. Some of them take place beforehand with the Phantom Limb, the one where you're going to find out, you relive the adventure where C-3PO meets Omri and gets his new arm, which was ace because we had Simon Pegg come in to play the part of Omri, which was awesome because he's not only Unkar Plutt, but he's also this new character as well. But we also have a level set on the Star Killer as it's blowing up, where a couple of pilots get shot down, and a couple of resistance pilots, and they have to make their way across the Star Killer and escape before it blows up, which is like a nice little sort of side story. We have the attack on the Takodana Castle. Now, obviously, you see that in the game, but this time you get to play it as the bad guys, which is really cool. So, you're going to be playing as Kylo Ren and, as some TIE fighter pilots, which is amazing. And another thing that we do is in the novelization, there's this bit where Poe meets a character called Nuka Ayet, who basically is the guy who rescues him from the crash site at the start of the movie and gets him off planet. And so we retell that story that's in the novelization but wasn't in the movie. So, yeah, there's so much more story to tell.
Yeah, and because we have so many characters and being able to switch characters are a big part of the game, we're also bringing the LEGO Freemaker characters. So any of you who've been watching the LEGO Freemaker show, you're going to see those characters become available as part of the DLC as well.
How many of you saw the LEGO Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures panel here? Any of you? That show is just so charming, so incredible. So you're going to be able to have those characters in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Exactly.
That's incredible. It's really cool art there. That's really great. So those are the DLC packs. Boy, I could sit here and ask you guys questions for a long time, but we are in front of this entire room of LEGO Star Wars fans.
Oh, hey, look, we are.
Hell yes. In case you hadn't noticed, we're on stage in front of these lights.
This makes sense now.
We'd love to have...
Microphones are for.
Yeah. Well, no, I just wanted to talk to you guys under the hot lights. No, but if you have questions for our developers here, especially kids in the audience who love this game, we'd love to hear from the kids that play this game. And of course, if you're an older fan, we'd love to hear from you as well. We want to hear from all of you. Want to give you an opportunity to talk to our developers here about LEGO Star Wars: The Force Awakens. If you have any questions, we got a microphone right up here. So if you make your microphone up into the aisleway here, or in this other aisleway on our left, on your right, you can ask a question. Beautiful. Yes, right here, please.
Hi. I've been a gamer of LucasArts games since like Rescue on the Fraktus, the Eidolon, back on the Commodore 64, and then the Amiga. And for all you LucasArts fans, you've got to get the book Rogue Leaders. That delves into the history brilliantly. But I'm wondering, is there any possibility of revisiting those old LucasArts titles? Because I know there's been stuff re-released on Good Old Gaming, and other titles have been remastered, but anything else you might have dusting off the cobwebs?
You mean in LEGO form?
In any form, because those old LucasArts games are just brilliant stories.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of love for some of the classic LucasArts games. For now, we're focused on telling some new stories and bringing some new adventures to folks, but we do have them available on other platforms. We have done some remasterings of other things in the past. You never know what's going to happen, but I think for now we're focused on telling new stories.
Yeah, they're on Steam and Grim Fandango Remastered.
Exactly.
And some of those have been really beautiful to see. Great question.
I do share your love, though. Got every mission complete on all the expansion packs for TIE Fighter and X-Wing as well.
Wow, good for you.
Fantastic games.
Impressive.
Right over here. Is microphone on? Sorry, I promise we'll come back to you, okay? We're right over here. Go ahead.
Hello. So, have you got like a sort of release date for all the expansion packs?
I mean, I think there is one, but we're literally making them at the moment. Like when I go back to the office on Monday, I think I'm going to be working on the Starkiller Escape one. So I'm not sure. We do have one, and if I was professional, I would know what it is. But I am not professional. But it's pretty soon. But we've finished one, and we're still making the other three at the moment. It's not a case of us holding back content.
Yeah, that's the key point. Well, they're not queued up, and as soon as they're getting made, we're going to get them out to you guys.
Right over here. Does it work? Oh, still working on it? Okay, we'll come back to you. Stay right where you are, I promise. Right here.
Okay. So one of the great fun things about the games are all the Easter eggs. And my son would like to know if Indiana Jones is findable in Force Awakens.
Isn't it wonderful that in a LEGO game you imagine that anything is possible, that even Indiana Jones could be present in a LEGO Star Wars game? As of course he was back in LEGO Star Wars Complete Saga. Extraordinarily, one of the very first sense of a sort of a mashup or a boundary-breaking adventure that we had in a LEGO game.
There are some nods to him in this one, though.
What's that?
There are some sort of nods to him in certain things that Han Solo does. In certain cuts, our cutscene team is amazing, and they love sticking in these Easter eggs. And there's a little bit where his hair comes off, and he has to grab it from under a door that's coming down. And there's a few other ones as well. So there are nods to him, but I don't believe he's like a playable character.
I can say that he's not a playable character in this game, but you can imagine that he is.
Right here, are we good?
Hello.
Hello! Hey. There he is.
I was just wondering, will there be a Rogue One Lego game?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Will there be a?
Will there be a Rogue One playable game?
Rogue
I don't
One.
know if that's.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I mean, don't stay there. You can move around. That's fine. You have to wait.
Stay tuned. We'll do another one right here since you've been waiting. Go ahead, right here on the. Go ahead.
I've always loved your games, but one thing that's bugged me is that they're not 4-player, so they're going to be 4-player in the future.
Wow, 4 players. So do you like to play with your friends or with your family? How do you play 4 players?
Well, I've got 2 brothers and a sister, so.
Oh, my commiserations. But that's fantastic that you play games together, and I guess there are other video games that you're able to play. Look, as I said earlier, we're always putting new things into our LEGO games. We always need to do new things for us. We've been playing these games for years and years as well. We want new fun, and we've got people that we like to play with as well. So, you know, like many things, it's definitely possible. We're working on all kinds of things, and maybe, because you've suggested it, it's going to go up higher on the list from now on.
He's really high up the company. He can make this happen. I can't do anything, but this guy.
I will say that in LEGO Dimensions, there is a 4-player competitive arena mode coming with the packs that are launching in September this year. So that we do already have work on the technology for that.
So it's a valuable piece of feedback. Absolutely. Right
Excellent.
here.
Thank you.
Hi. Playing through the LEGO games, like the Star Wars games in LEGO is great. It was probably one of the first Star Wars games I ever played. But you'll also remember in 2005, a adaptation came out for the Revenge of the Sith film, and that was amazing. I was wondering, are there any plans to adapt like the saga into video games in non-LEGO form? So just sort of a straight-up playthrough of the movies in non-LEGO, if that makes sense.
Yeah, do you mean like video games that are based on Star Wars that are not LEGO?
Oh, no, like, you know, like in the LEGO games, you play through the movies, except it's LEGO. Are there any like plans to make you can play through the movies, but like not in LEGO, if you get what I mean? Like the Revenge of the Sith adaptation.
Yeah, we're working on all kinds of new stories. Some of them are stories from the Clone Wars era. Some of them are from the classic era. Some of them are for the new trilogy. You're going to see lots of Star Wars games telling all kinds of stories. So don't be surprised if you see some things that might be familiar in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, right here.
So, as you all know, that there's going to be a movie called Rogue One. So I was wondering, are you ever going to make Lego Star Wars Rogue One?
Oh, we just got that question, and I think the answer is stay tuned. We could you couldn't
Right
say.
now we're focused on The Force Awakens and some of the other content, but always we're looking to bring more stories to Lego Star Wars.
Right here.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, for God's sake, I can't speak. You know how your games are kind of aimed towards the family audience. My question to you is, how important do you feel the value of playing with your family is, and do you personally think there's a lack of games on the market right now that are aimed towards that demographic?
Well, I think it's incredibly important. My family are here. You know, they've grown up with these games. They're important to us together to be able to play together. We don't just play LEGO games. We do play other games as well, and we've really enjoyed many, many games. There are lots of games that you can play together that are suitable. So yeah, I think it's really important. It's brought us together. We know that other people have had the same experience. And certainly when we made the very first LEGO Star Wars, we did feel that there was a gap there. In particular for the local multiplayer, that 2 people sitting together. Nintendo have made many great games that enable you to play together. We felt there was a lack. That's why there's always been co-op play in almost all of our LEGO games. It is important to us. That's why we're moving to 4-player with LEGO Dimensions, as we said. As for other games that are around at the moment, yeah, you know, there are lots of games you can play multiplayer. Maybe there's been less local co-op, but there are also lots of really interesting games that do enable that. So if that's something that you think is valuable, and I think from the angle of your question you do, I urge you to search out those games because they are rewarding. Those are memories that will last forever.
Yeah, for me personally, it's an incredible honor to think that I might be involved in something that will be a treasured part of someone's childhood. We take that incredibly seriously, that, you know, these are things that are suitable for families. And that's why, you know, that's why we're so lucky to have an amazing cutscene team who can take something that might be a bit scary, like The Force Awakens, and find ways to make it, you know, those scary moments a bit funnier. So yeah, we take it very seriously, and I think games that families can play together are wonderful, because it brings more people into video games, and it means that I'll have a job in 20 years.
Yeah, no, these titles definitely fill a very important role for us in terms of bringing multi-generations of families together to engage in Star Wars, and these guys do a great job of making it accessible in that way.
We think it's really important that children who love video games more than anyone else, those of us who are older gamers, we've forgotten how to love video games as much as we used to, and children still have that right within them. And for children to be able to remind their parents of that fun, to play together, to show their parents from a position of expertise what's possible with new technology, we think is really powerful.
Yeah, I think the great thing about what you guys do in particular is you tell the Star Wars stories kind of through the eyes of a 10-year-old, but with the experience and expertise and talent of adults. And it's a really magical mix that I think is important.
Absolutely. Right here, go ahead.
What did you have for the design of Luke from The Force Awakens and Snoke?
Can you ask that again? I didn't quite catch that.
Sorry, one more time, please.
What did you have for the design from Luke for The Force Awakens and Supreme Leader Snoke?
What did we have for the design of Luke and Snoke?
No, what designs did you have, I think, from Lucas for Supreme Leader
Oh, sorry,
Snoke?
from Lucas. I thought you said Luke. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Is that right?
Luke, of course.
Okay.
All right.
Well, he's not a playable character, really, is he? So, I mean, he appears in cutscenes, so we built a model of him, but in terms of, we don't know what his abilities are, because we don't know what the films are going forward, so that's something that, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the very many moments in the film that we had to spoon feed on December 18th to some of our partners to give them a sense of what these characters look like. So it was very much an iterative process where we started with a description of what the character was, started to build it, and then when we were able to share what ILM had done, how they had actually ultimately represented him in the film, then we were able to hand those designs over to these guys to make it come alive.
Can I compliment you on a very canny question? To see if there was any secret nuggets of information that we had about that big mystery, to try and bring them out. That's an excellent question. Very well done. We still have questions ourselves. It's one of the things that fuels our excitement in these stories as they continue to grow as well.
I'll come right back to you in a sec. They've been waiting for a little while. So right here, just one more, please, here.
Throughout the Lego Star Wars games, are there any things that you've wanted to add but you can't?
Oh, that's a great question.
Four-player co-op, I believe it's. No?
Yeah. I mean, so many things. It's a wonderful privilege, as Graham said quite clearly, to be able to work on these games. But at the same time, we can never do everything that we want to. Maybe that keeps us going, keeps us making the next game, because we're always looking to build on it. But yes, certainly, more social play of people being able to play more together, more online connections, being able to tell. We always want to add more characters as well, but we just have to draw a hard limit on that.
I think getting closer to the feel of playing with the actual genuine Lego as well. With I think that's something we're always trying to get closer to. So I think we're going to keep evolving, doing that.
And right over here, please.
Hi. You've been talking a lot about co-op and people working together and, cooperating in all the levels. So I was wondering if there are ever any plans to introduce like wireless co-op where you can play with people all over the world.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Online. Do you play online multiplayer games yourself? May I ask?
I do a bit, not loads, but I definitely play the Lego games. I've played, the Complete Saga and the Clone Wars a lot.
Yeah, cool, great. Yeah, so we have had online multiplayer in some of our games. I can tell you there is a big engineering job ongoing to try and work exactly on that era. Those of you who've seen Lego Worlds, which is currently available on PC on Steam, will know that that's just had a big network multiplayer update as well. So this is something that we are actively working on. Like you, we like playing with as many different people as possible. We do play a lot of online games ourselves. And so it's a natural place for Lego games to be.
Wonderful question. Thank you. Right here.
Are you going to do anything with Star Wars Rebels?
I think there's
Lego?
There's some characters that are in the game that you can unlock.
And some ships. Have we got ships in there?
Yeah, I believe so. But in terms of like a standalone game, I don't know. That's not my call. But that's really good because obviously.
Yeah, certainly we're exploring the opportunity to tell all of the Star Wars stories in Lego.
And it sounds like there's already Star Wars Rebels happening in the latest game with characters. That's a great question.
Thank you.
Right here, please.
As a
I have to commute a lot to university and things like that. So I was really happy that you guys brought out Force Awakens on the Vita, so I could play it on the move.
A Vita lover, cool.
So I was just wondering, are you going to commit to developing...
Graham says found him.
Yeah, there aren't many of us.
Gotta collect them all.
Are you going to commit to developing for as many platforms as possible? So are you going to bring out more games on the Vita?
Sure, I mean, as you've seen, I mean, you make the point about Vita, we always try to develop on as many different game systems as possible, and that has been because we want LEGO games to be for everybody. Not everybody has all different game systems, so we've been on the broadest possible. But there does come a point where our ideas and the team's intentions of where they want to take the gameplay and develop it into new areas does start to take advantage of new technology to the point that we do need to drop old platform. We're not making games on Game Boy Advance anymore. We're not making games on DS anymore. Well, it'd be great. It's a great platform. We still play games on Game Boy Advance, but the technology moves on, the imagination moves on, and to some extent the market moves on as well. So broadly, yes, but I can't give you a guarantee on any particular platform for any particular length of time. I'm sorry. I hope you enjoy the game on Vita for now.
Thank you.
Great question. Just because you've been waiting for a while, one second, just right here.
Hello again.
Hello again.
I had one more question, which was, LEGO Dimensions?
Yes.
Are you thinking of ever adding Star Wars to LEGO Dimensions now Disney Infinity's gone?
Are you thinking of it?
Well, that's kind of one of my LEGO game dreams.
Wow. I mean, Dimensions has been a wonderful place for us to play and explore new things and new stories as well. We are constantly working on that, but I certainly can't say anything about what we might be adding, unfortunately, today.
Thank you. Right here.
Hi. So I know you've made a massive range of LEGO games, from Jurassic World to the Batman games to Marvel, Avengers, Star Wars,
Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean, LEGO Rock Band, yep.
Exactly. I'm wondering if there's any other genres or franchises that you are either planning on working or that you would like to work with.
Are there some left? Have you? Are there any that you?
Yeah, well, all these people here have got the imagination as well to make new stories that we can license from you. We want to license yours, particularly you children. You're asking questions. You've got ideas for games and stories. We want you to make those stories, tell those stories, make those movies, and then we can license them from you. So I'm sure you've got some ideas for properties you'd like us to work with as well. What do you love?
I do like the Batman ones in terms of the whole Justice League.
Sure.
Maybe something a bit more around sort of I don't know, Superman or the Green Lantern, but a separate story in itself.
Cool. Well, I have to say, anything's possible. We are always in this wonderful position where in the office every day we can think about where we want to go with LEGO games in the future. We're always having conversations with people about new stories. And that sense that you have, that there are more stories to tell, we absolutely share.
Right.
Thank you. Right here, please. Hello.
Hello.
I like your LEGO games. I've played them all. And I write stories, so can I come and work with you?
Well, right now, I mean, I'm so
So you're basically the competition for me. I don't like this. Because he sounds like he might be more talented.
He's starting to sweat up here a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make them when I get older.
Oh, yeah. Do you know
you
what?
would.
Absolutely. I mean, I love the fact that kids play video games and they want to get into making video games. And there's all these amazing tools that you can use to do that these days, like Unity and Game Maker and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I totally was a kid who played video games and who wanted to make video games. And while I wouldn't advise the route that I took, which was to not do homework and play video games instead, it worked out pretty well. So don't do that. But yeah, absolutely. If you want to make video games, pursue your dream because if you've got the talent, it'll work out. You'll find your way into the industry. And we do have people come in on internship type stuff. So
sure, we employ hundreds of people here in the UK making these games, telling these stories. I mean, Graham and I are some of the worst idiots, but many of them are also equally foolish and ill-educated. And all you need to do is just keep working at your ideas, learn what you can at school, build and make what you can, do play games as well to understand what other people are making. And would look forward to seeing you come into work in a few years with your ideas. Thank you for playing the games so far. We really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Round of applause for the future of video game creation. In all seriousness, there are tools out there now that weren't around when we started in video game development. If you are interested in making games, you can go and download Unity. You can, as you get a little older, maybe not, you can start creating your own games much easier now than back you could 10, 20 years ago.
It is, although you don't even need a computer, you don't need technology, you don't need software, you just need a piece of paper.
Yes.
The very first designs for the first LEGO Star Wars were just drawn out on graph paper. Just draw maps, tell those stories. You can storyboard a cutscene, you can storyboard a movie with pencil and paper. But if you're interested in taking control of a game and really shaping that gameplay and that sense of the experience that the players are going to have. Again, there are great games out there that enable you to do that. Games like Little Big Planet, where you can create your own spaces. Games like LEGO World, where you can build your own environments. Lots of creative games exist. Explore them, and then that will lead you to some of the really accessible tools, like a couple of people have mentioned Game Maker, that now exist, so you can get started really easily.
Fantastic. Right here, yes.
Okay, Lucas would like to know, that's my Lucas, not your Lucas, of the cast and crew of Star Wars, who is the best player of your games?
You mean like the Force Awakens cast, the actors, or
excluding yourselves? Obviously.
I think Simon Pegg is. He's played quite a few other games. He knows his way around a controller.
Yeah, and John Boyega is a big fan of a lot of our games too. You'll see him tweet a lot about playing our games. So.
Yeah, we were chatting about playing, I think, Arkham Asylum with him after the session. On the company dime. A lot of them are big game players.
Great question. Thank you. Right here, please.
Yeah, as a fan of LEGO Star Wars 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 2, are there any chances to get a remake of that game with new technologies?
So LEGO Star Wars: A Complete Saga, what was that going on to PlayStation 3 from the PlayStation 2 GameCube originals? Right now, as Douglas says, our big new game is LEGO Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So I can say right now there are no plans to do that. But you can still play them. Bust out your PlayStation 2. There are so many great games on PlayStation 2 you can bring out and have fun with.
Thank you. Was there one more? I think there was one more. Yes, right here.
The idea is, how much will be translated into future LEGO games? So, like the optional building, will that be in every LEGO game now, or?
I don't know. We were always evolving that, aren't we? The multi-builds. I mean, they were the thing we tried with this one. I mean, we're going to probably refine that and see where that goes in the future. But yeah, we're always trying to get close to that thing of actually the tactile feeling of playing with Lego, and the things like blaster battles and the improved like spaceship gameplay. I think that's so intrinsically hooked into Star Wars that it only really sort of almost applies to the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. This is the work that we do all the time. And if you think about becoming a designer, this is a question that the design group will be asking themselves all the time. What do we carry forward? What do we change? What's right for each new story? What's right for each new game? So it's not the case that anything's a slam dunk. We don't know what the features will be for the games that we make in the future. That's what keeps us excited. We're always asking our players, what do you want? But we're always trying to solve those problems in new ways each time. So the answer is we don't know. We're going to find out. And I hope whatever we come up with, whatever the teams come up with, there are solutions and new ideas that you are pleased with. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're coming to a close here, but before we do, if you could just indulge me for just a moment, there's a couple of things that I didn't get a chance to say at the beginning that I wanted to say before we wrap up the panel here, and this really has to do with Star Wars Celebration, with tremendous panels like this, all the work that went into this panel to bring you things like the visuals that you see, the cameras, everything. I want to take a moment to thank our stage crew. Everyone here, Viva, our stage manager, Chris, everyone in front of house, Rick and John backstage on tech and video, Keith and Caleb doing sound, Mohammed on food, and all the volunteers who do this because they love Star Wars. If you see them, shake their hands, say hello, give them a hug. They work really, really hard to be here. Everyone at Lucasfilm, Lynn Hale and PR, everyone at TT Games, everyone that did this, thank you so much. And please join me in thanking our panelists, the team behind LEGO Star Wars: The Force Awakens. You guys are just fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Most of all, I mean, I'd like to thank you as well, but most of all, I'd like to thank you for your attention, kindness, brilliant questions, the love of Star Wars and the love of the LEGO games that you've shown to this over the years is a great treasure to us. Thank you for that, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, and may the Force be with you.